Hi, I'm Gina, creator and host of Feminine Roadmap Podcast, the podcast that is designed to have real talk around all things midlife and strategies to help us live a more vibrant second half. It is my deepest desire to help other people shift the conversation toward empowerment, toward vibrancy, toward excitement about what life has for us and what we can bring to the world, how we can each individually shine our light. So I invite you to grab a cup of something wonderful, to join me each week or when you can, and join me in my living room to have these conversations. And if you are enjoying this, please take the time to subscribe wherever you listen, rate my podcast, and share the episodes that help you, the episodes that encourage you. Let's build this community together. Welcome to my tribe. I'm so grateful you're here. Hello, Feminine Roadmappers. Welcome back to Feminine Roadmap Podcast, the podcast that helps you navigate the challenges and changes of midlife and to live a more vibrant second half. And today our conversation is going to support your journey because my guest is going to teach us how using gratitude and meditation can help you tap into your own inner truth and hear what is right for you in this season of life. My guest today is Lori Saitz. She's an award-winning writer, speaker, broadcaster, and the CEO of Zen-Rabbit. Lori, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks so much for having me, Gina. I'm excited to be here and have this conversation.
Yes, I would love to hear. What is it, Lori, that really led you to this specific mission and message?
I started my first business as an entrepreneur in 2003, and I was making and marketing a product called the Gratitude Cookie. So it was because I'm a marketer, I didn't put it together as to be, let me be the next Mrs. Fields. I wanted to help businesses say thank you to their clients and to people who sent them referrals. I ran that business for 11 years and I couldn't quite scale it the way I wanted to. So I decided instead of beating my head against the wall, I was going to shut it down. And at about that same time, my mom was diagnosed with an acute form of leukemia and she passed away 6 weeks later. So the combination of those two things, when I was looking at and mourning really the death of my business and my mother, I started thinking, do I want to live the next 20 years or however many I have left, could be more than that, but or less, whatever. Do I want to live the next years the same way I lived the last 20? And not that there was anything wrong with those last 20. Where can I make it better than fine?
That's such a powerful question, Lori. And it's such a good question. It's not judging the past as bad or good, but it's just pivoting possibly, right? Like, right. Okay, this worked. What works now? What feels right in this moment? That's such a good perspective. And how did that help you make the change?
So it took me, I think if you've been through the death of a parent, it takes a while to process that. And it doesn't happen overnight, certainly even after a year. And so it took a couple of years and it was about 4 years after that. And there was a lot of things going on in those 4 years, which is why it took that long. I decided to leave my marriage after 22 years. We had been together for almost 30 years. So pretty much all of my adult life. And I decided because, again, that marriage was fine. He's an amazing person and it wasn't serving either one of us anymore. So, okay, now I just changed everything. I moved. Not only did I leave a marriage for a long-term marriage, I moved from Virginia to California, like all the way across the country for a year. And then I moved back, but major changes. That's what I felt like I had to do to get the perspective I needed and to, again, really, who am I and what am I doing now? Where do I want to go?
So when did you begin to see how gratitude and meditation, when did that practice kind of become the thing you decided to focus on and how?
Yeah. So I actually learned how to meditate when I was 10. my mom took my brother and me to a meditation course that's now known as the Silva method. And so I had that background, but I didn't practice it for, so I learned it when I was 10 and I might've practiced it for a year and then didn't do it for another 35 or maybe even 40 years. And I came back to it after she passed away. Somebody pointed out to me, and I hadn't even recognized this myself, that maybe she was preparing me for her to not be here anymore with, so I came back to meditation. That really helped me with processing, again, closing down that business, not having her around. And then the gratitude piece was something that I had already in that first business. Interestingly, though, I wasn't, when I first started that business, I wasn't a super grateful person. I had to learn how to step into seeing more gratitude and feeling more gratitude. And so after I shut that business down, got back into the meditation, it wasn't really until the beginning of pandemic that I really came full circle back around into talking about gratitude and how the concept of it and how it affects our lives.
So let's talk about gratitude. I think gratitude is a powerful practice. I have friends that when I do virtual video chats, we send each other video chats because they don't live close by. I started saying, hey, let's finish our video chats with 3 things that you're grateful for. And now it's just become a habit. And it really does end the conversation sweetly. You hear,
yes.
It makes you feel better to listen to someone else talk about what they're grateful for. So I'd love to get your perspective on that.
Yeah. Well, gratitude is such a powerful concept. It's a powerful thing. I mean, as a vibration, energetically, gratitude is the highest energetic vibration you can get to, right up there with love, the same. So when you are feeling gratitude or talking about what you're grateful for, it's putting you in that highest energetic vibration. So of course you feel good. And what it's doing to you biochemically, that it's making changes in your brain. Your biochemistry, your brain chemistry is changing. Your brain is releasing those feel-good chemicals of serotonin and dopamine and oxytocin, and it's shutting down or lessening the stress chemicals. So when you are in this place of gratitude, you actually are flooding yourself with goodness. And whether you are the one giving the gratitude or receiving it, or your listeners who are now listening to you talk about it, has the same effect, same uplifting effect.
That's powerful. I love the idea that the energy is transmutable, even through, something like a podcast when you're not technically live with the person that you're with. Yeah, it's true. It really lifts, but it's more than that, isn't it? It's a brain chemistry. It's a neurological tool to shift.
Right. And it changes your physical being as well. Not just, obviously anything that's changing your brain chemistry is going to change your physicality. However, it will help you sleep better. It will help you feel more emotionally connected to other people. It will help you lessen the amount of stress that you're feeling. And they've done studies that show it actually can lessen physical pain.
Interesting. I think it's one of those things where it feels too simple to be true, right? It kind of sounds like, oh yeah, sure, that's going to fix things. But I would say that at first it might feel awkward, right? If you're not used to making it a practice, or it might feel wooden because it doesn't quite have the quote feel good feelings yet. Would you agree with that?
I would agree because, right. So a lot of people, I think I was going to say, even if you're not born grateful, but I think we are born grateful. It kind of gets somehow worn out of us. And at the same time, just because you are not a super grateful person now doesn't mean you can't become one. You mentioned practice, and yes, it does take practice. However, it's a matter of looking for it and consciously, intentionally looking for places where you can find and feel gratitude. It's that what you look for, you'll always find more of. So if you look for ways to be critical or things to complain about, you'll find them. And if you look for things to be grateful for, you'll find those too.
Mm-hmm. I think when it comes to gratitude, it's one of those things where practicing it throughout the day is really helpful. But it's kind of nice also to have like a gratitude journal or a gratitude practice at a specific time of day, because it sets a habit, right? It locks it into something. Like you're brushing your teeth, and while you're brushing your teeth, you're thinking, what are the 3 things I'm grateful for? Or when you do your yoga stretches before bed, which is what I do because my hips are tight, right? I'm just thinking about in your downward dog, like, what am I grateful for? And I think if we can habit stack like that, gratitude can become a part of the rhythm of something else we're doing.
Such good ideas right there. Yes. Yes, for sure. And on top of that, I would add in feeling the gratitude. So yes, you're thinking about the things that you're grateful for, and then can you infuse it with some feeling? That amplifies the power of it. I'm going to share an exercise.
Okay.
If you'd like,
yeah,
for your listeners. Yeah. So this can help you find more gratitude throughout your day. We are human. And so we have a tendency to complain and criticize, right? So next time that you catch yourself complaining about something or criticizing something, catch yourself and add to it, but I'm grateful for. But I'm grateful for, and intentionally saying the word but, because we are often taught not to say but because it negates the first part of the sentence, which is exactly what we're doing here.
In this instance, you want to do that.
Yes. Yes. And again, the more you can do this, the more naturally it will come to you.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting on the brain science side of, what you focus on, you get, because, our brains have a reticular activating system. So if I'm really ticked and I'm mad at the other drivers on the road, all I see are the jerks, or what I perceive to be as jerks.
Yes.
Which is the point, right? It's sometimes more of a perception than a reality, but it's a reality because I'm perceiving it. And so I think we can easily get lost in an emotion positively or negatively because we are lost in the perception. Gratitude is a much more specific, I think I want to say, we don't make it up. We're just waking up that reticular activating system to see things that we could be grateful for, no matter what. So if somebody's struggling, what are maybe some things they could be grateful for if life really is hard right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not about not seeing or ignoring or stuffing down hard feelings. Feel your emotions for sure. And at the same time, you can still find some shred of gratitude. Maybe it's, I'm grateful I had a warm bed to sleep in. Mm-hmm. I'm grateful I have a hot cup of tea to enjoy this morning. I'm grateful I woke up, or, some people might not feel that. Like if you're really in a deep, dark place, that might not be something you're grateful for. Yeah. Again, though, you could feel gratitude for the good night's sleep you got, or the clean water you have to drink.
Yes. I love that it removes you from situations, right? I think we don't necessarily really have to be grateful for a difficult situation. We could be, but if that doesn't feel right in the moment, if that's not something you can genuinely say, I think our brains resist when we try to lie to ourselves, right?
Sure.
That's what you're saying, is look outside of the situation and look for those things that really are blessings, that really are the things that maybe we take for granted. We could start there,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Right. You don't have to necessarily be grateful for the situation. Like, I'm grateful my car broke down. No, I'm grateful I have insurance I'm grateful I'm not stuck in the middle of the road. I got to the side of the road. I'm grateful a tow truck is coming to get me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a very good example, Lori, of what you can be grateful for. It doesn't always have to be happy things in that sense. It can be, what are the, for lack of a better word, positive perspectives that I can take to help myself not get stuck in a ditch of, like you said, judgment, criticism, anger, frustration. Not that those things aren't there, but I think they can be partnered with. It's like I was talking last night to a group of ladies. We were on a call and I was talking about how joy and sorrow, they exist together, right? Happiness and struggle exist together. And so this idea of gratitude doesn't live alone, only in happy times.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's there. It's always there. It's a matter of looking for it.
And I notice too, as the practice becomes more consistent, meaning that you do it more and more, then it becomes a little more automatic. Your brain begins to go, oh, but positive thing.
Yes. Yes.
Now, meditation, let's talk a little bit about meditation, because I think meditation can be daunting for some people. I happen to use an app called Headspace because it's helpful for me. Sometimes there's people like music, some people like quiet, some people like sitting on the floor, some people like laying down. But let's talk about how you see meditation as a tool for people to really kind of connect with themselves. Because one of the things that I talk about a lot is in midlife, sometimes we've lost ourselves in all of the roles and journeys that we've taken. And I feel like it's a good time for a reset and a reconnect. So let's talk about how meditation really can help with that reset and reconnect part of this season of life.
I appreciate that you just shared, you can sit, you can lie down, you can listen to music, you can sit silently, because I hear so many people saying, I'm not good at meditation because insert, reason there. And part of it is because they believe there's only one way to do it. And that way doesn't work for them. There are many ways to practice meditation. And as you said, it's finding what works for you. So before I forget, I love that you mentioned the Headspace app, which is a great one. I also really enjoy Insight Timer. So that's just another resource that people could check into.
You said Insight Timer?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Haven't heard of that. Calm is also another one that's out there.
Calm is another one. Sure. Insight Timer is a free app. They have a paid version, but they have the free version is the only one I use, and you still have access to 100,000 meditations. So of all different kinds. So yeah. So, guided meditations are, some people think guided, when they're listening to a guided meditation, that's cheating. It's not cheating at all.
That's the only way I do it. I'm not going to lie, because it really does bring you back.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is that a lot of times people say they're not good at meditation because they can't clear the thoughts in their head, as if that's the goal of meditation. And it's not. The goal is to recognize the thoughts and to bring yourself back to whether it's the sound of the meditation teacher's voice in a guided meditation, which is what guided meditations are great for. They're great for kind of keeping your mind in control. And still it's going to wander off sometimes, but you come back to the sound of the teacher's voice, or your own breathing, or the music, or whatever it is. That's the practice of meditation. And just like we were talking about the practice of gratitude, the more you do it, the better you become. And if you start with meditating for 5 minutes, it doesn't have to be an hour. It's however much time you can give it is better than zero time. So yeah, so getting into that practice and so to your point of tapping into your own inner voice, this is what meditation is really designed for, in my opinion, is helping you hear your own inner voice. Only you can hear that. We live in a society that we're constantly bombarded by outside voices
Mm-hmm.
through all different channels. And we've spent all of these years living perhaps for someone else, for many someone else's. And now we want to hear what we have to say to ourselves. So meditation is that opportunity to shut down all of those outside voices and really get in touch with what is my inner voice saying. And, that could be intuition. It can come to you in many different ways. Some people have feelings. Some people hear voices or see images. However, your voice is speaking to you is the right way. There isn't a wrong way. And that chance to tap into, okay, what is right for me in this moment, and trusting. And then comes that next part, is trusting and having faith to take action on what you're hearing.
And it's probably going to feel a bit foreign, isn't it?
Sure. If you're not used to hearing yourself because you're so used to processing and hearing all of the other voices, your own voice you might not trust it.
Mm-hmm.
Really? No, that can't be right.
And I think baby steps, one of the
Sure.
things that I love about the Headspace app is one, the voice. I like the guy's voice. It's relaxing. But I have found that taking the time to be still, whether I'm, quote, good at it or not, the practice of a 5 to 10 minute meditation, and breathing happens to be the thing I tend to focus on. It's the most centering for my brain. Because if I start focusing on something outside of that, my mind will totally jump quicker. But I think there's beauty in the silence that we're not used to.
Right. Yes. And you just made me think of another form of meditation as well. And that could be just walking in nature without your electronics.
No sound in your ears other than nature.
Yeah. Just taking, and because some people have a really hard time sitting still or lying still, they need motion. That's okay too. So go out and walk. Or some people find running meditative. Again, as long as you can tap into that, to your own voice thing, and that silence, that getting into hearing that's the important part of this.
That walking meditation, in my mind, I think about how it's connected with mindfulness. It's, feeling the breeze, hearing the birds, the crunch of the leaves. If you happen to be able to walk not on concrete, for me, the less concrete, the better. Although I live in Southern California, the land of concrete, I try to find those places. It really does something as well, right? When you're in nature, there's other things going on that our bodies and our brains need. It's it's detoxifying just to do that, and
absolutely.
It's so good for us. And I wanted to say, when you're walking and meditating, it's not as big and complicated as it sounds. So let's give a little glimpse of what a walking meditation could look like for someone.
It's what you just said about walking, whether you're walking somewhere in nature around trees. You mentioned being in Southern California. So if you're somewhere where there's a beach or an ocean or even a lake or any body of water, really any nature, and paying attention to all of the senses. What are you smelling? What are you seeing? What are you hearing? If your feet are touching, if you're walking barefoot, like on a beach, for example, or what does the air feel like? And paying attention to all of those 5 senses. Well, I don't know about taste. Don't eat sand.
Well, at the ocean, sometimes the air kind of has a saltiness. It really does.
True. Yeah.
But I think that there are certain environments that really help, like the sound of water. In any
it's very, very healing.
Yes. Like when you're at the ocean, just biologically, it's a different energy. The ocean water and the waves, it literally changes the ions in the air. So I don't know about you, but if I go down to the ocean, whether I take a walk or sit on the beach or whatever, I'm always so sleepy. Every
Yes.
time I leave.
Yes, that does happen to me. And now that you bring it up.
And I think it's certain environments, the quality of the air combined with the sounds, and I'm not talking environmentally like good air, bad air. I'm just talking about when you get around a lot of nature, plants and trees, they breathe, right? That's part of the nature cycle. So it is a different quality of air, and it's a very calming environment. And this is something that could be a practice. You just do that at least once a week or even once a month. More than you do it now is still moving in the right direction.
Exactly. And that's fueling not just your body, you're fueling your mind, your psyche, rebalancing.
Rebalancing. That's a good way to put it. And ideas. Have you found that if you get quiet?
Oh yeah.
Our mind has a chance to, it's almost like, when you get up in the morning and your body automatically just kind of wants to stretch. I feel like that's what our brain does when we finally get somewhere quiet.
Yeah. I mean, meditation, there's plenty of studies and research behind meditation increasing your creativity. And again, it enhances relationships because you are rewiring your brain. They talk a lot about social media rewiring people's brains. And meditation is your opportunity to rewire it back how you want it to be.
Yeah.
And so when you're rewiring your brain, you're rebalancing yourself, you become better able to respond to situations. Your focus increases. You're better able to respond instead of react. Your emotional intelligence is enhanced. And so you're less likely to be drawn into conflict. So your relationships improve.
It's such a small practice in the overall 24 hours of our day.
Right.
But the impact, it's like the rudder on a ship. It's just a small thing that directs a bigger vessel, right?
Yeah, exactly. And one of the other things I commonly hear from people is, I don't have time to meditate. And I just saw last night that the analogy of saying I don't have time to meditate is the equivalent of saying I'm too hungry to eat. So what meditation really does is it gives you back time. There's a quote, I think it was attributed to Abraham Lincoln, that if you give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. This is exactly what we're doing with meditation, because it has does all of these things for your brain, helping you focus better, helping you be more intentional, that when you go to do all of the other things that you need to do that you think you don't have, that you have to focus on instead of having time for meditation. So let's say you spent 15 minutes in meditation this morning, and now you're better able to focus on the tasks at hand. So something that might have taken you 3 hours to do only takes you 2. You pretty much just bought yourself an hour.
You're depositing into your energy bank. You're putting something in that's going to give you back an interest, if you will, in time.
Right.
Because you've taken the time to prime your brain, right? Prime your brain for the day and for whatever's going to come, because we don't always know what's headed our direction, right?
Exactly. But what it is doing is it's helping you stay calm and grounded no matter what's going on around you.
One of the things on the Headspace app that was really helpful for me, back to the whole idea of I can't quiet my mind, and it isn't about quieting the mind, but that's how we think it is, because we always think of monks sitting for hours, and we're thinking, I don't have hours to sit. Well, it's more about becoming an observer of your thoughts, because the thoughts don't go away. And so they use that example of a cloud. See your thoughts as clouds passing by. Observe them. You can deal with them after your 5, 10, 15 minute meditation. They'll be there. Don't you worry. Those thoughts aren't going anywhere, right? But you can observe them and allow them to pass. And I thought that was such a good way of seeing it. Because if I'm in a state of resistance to my thoughts or my emotions, all of my energy is going to this, for lack of a better term, more negative focus of resistance and fighting. So I see it kind of like just yielding. Some days less thoughts come, some days lots of thoughts come. Wouldn't you agree?
Completely. It is about allowing, accepting and allowing. What we resist persists. I'm sure you've heard that before. And what we accept, we can change.
And what do you mean by that? Accept, put that in a context for me, please.
So in this case, for example, if we are accepting that thoughts are coming, then we can change how we see them instead of fighting them and saying, oh, it's intruding on my meditation. I'm not good at meditating. I can't do it. Accepting thoughts of this process. Now you can change your perspective on what meditation is and still get the benefit.
Mm-hmm. For me, Lori, I've found that breathing techniques are the most powerful tool that for me. And I've encouraged my family to do it. When we were going through my mother-in-law's health journey last year and her passing, there was a lot of me encouraging my husband to, all right, let's just take 10 deep breaths. Go drive. We live close to the mountains. So drive up the mountains, literally stand on the mountain and breathe, because there's something so powerful about the breath.
Such good advice, because we, again, as humans we're breathing. We're always breathing. Obviously, that's how we stay alive. However, very shallow breathing and not really breathing as we are intended to, which is breathing in all the way down to the abdomen and filling up the lungs. And that's how we oxygenate our brains and bodies. Mm-hmm. It's not a surprise that we walk around feeling so unhealthy, actually being so unhealthy, but not feeling good. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the reason is because we're just not getting enough oxygen into our systems. So taking that time to just do the breathing, if you do nothing else, even if you don't go into a full meditation, taking your hands and putting them on your heart and stopping for a minute and just focusing on your breath, breathing in, breathing out. Can you then imagine breathing in and out from your heart? Mm-hmm. Breathing through your heart, that actually syncs up your heart and your brain and puts them in coherence. Because most people go through their lives, their days and their lives, their brain and their heart is out of coherence. It's out of sync and causes a lot of issues in terms of worry and franticity. I'll use that. I did not invent that word, but I do like it. And again, coming back to all the physical health conditions that people are facing, sync things up, get yourself in balance just through breathing, as you're saying.
You know, my favorite thing to do is, depending on the situation, is to use different kinds of breathing, right? So there are different kinds. You're talking about a more diaphragmatic breathing where you go deep and you treat it like an ocean wave, right? You just let it. I also love box breathing, where you inhale for 4, hold your breath for 4, and your exhale is longer. Boy, that can calm you down if you're feeling real mad or frustrated. And then I can never alternate nostril breathing. Yeah. Which I can't demonstrate because it's me and you looking at each other. But, you know, if you're listening to this, go check out alternate nose breathing. It has a fancier name, but I can never remember it. But the point is, as you breathe it, you plug one side of your nose, you breathe in through the left side, hold your breath, switch nostrils, breathe out the right side, breathe in the right side, hold your breath, plug your nose, breathe out the other side. It actually does that syncing that you're talking about. That's one of those syncing breaths. It's not just syncing, S-Y-N-C.
Right.
But it's really powerful, and it sounds too good to be true, but it's a physiological tool
Right.
If a woman is, to our conversation about tapping into our own inner truth, learning to hear our own voice, when we feel that franticity, I think you said, that freneticness, those kinds of tools they're with you anywhere. You can do it. I've done it in my car,
Yeah.
it's a great resource that's actually a physiological tool. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to write this down and feel better. No, you're actually, like you said, syncing things up, which clarifies your emotions. It centers your body. And I don't mean this in a woo-woo sense. It's an actual physiological thing that happens in the brain when you use these tools. And it's life-changing, I think.
Indeed, it is. Everything we've talked about today has science and research behind it. It's not just a woo-woo, let's sit and repeat mantras and feel good. There is science and research behind every single thing we've talked about.
Mm-hmm. Visualization, you mentioned without saying it. You talked about picturing the breath coming through the heart. I remember the first time I kind of heard that, I was like, okay, I don't understand. But it's that idea of, in your mind's eye, kind of watching the breath move through.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you do yoga and they say, breathe into your back, or doing a stretch, breathe into your hips. I think that's syncing the heart, the mind, visualization on that level, where you just you're focusing on it, but you're picturing what it's doing,
mm-hmm.
how it's moving, is actually another great way to get the brain on board.
Yeah. It's using your imagination.
Yeah.
And in a positive way, because I love talking to people and saying, okay, so what do you call visualizing negative things? Because we talk a lot about visualizing positive things as using visualization to visualize what you would like to bring into your life and all the, the grand things. And people somehow have a hard time wrapping their head around the idea of visualization. And yet most people do it very easily when it comes to visualizing negative things.
Oh my gosh. I hadn't thought
Go ahead.
about
What
that.
do you call it? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You're so right. We're imagining all the things that could go wrong, and we put faces and names and context to it.
I was going to ask you if you have the word for it.
I don't. I bet you'll say it and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Worry.
Anxiety.
Worry, anxiety.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's visualizing negative outcomes.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
So obviously
we're experts.
Yeah. We're all experts at visualizing. Let's just turn it a little bit and make it work for us instead of against us.
Like, what if it did work in terms of,
yes.
Instead of what if it goes wrong? What if it goes right?
Yeah. That what if question. I just wrote a post about this fairly recently. Right. What if? In fact, I'm looking over, I know y'all can't see me, but I have a whiteboard on my wall in front of me, and it says in all capital letters, what if it totally works?
That's so funny. It's like one of those busted. You're so busted. You're like, I don't believe in visualization. You're like, busted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do it all the time. Wow. Yeah. That is so profound, because, I think the brain, because it's always trying to keep us safe. It's looking for the patterns and the habits that will keep us in our mind safe, whatever context we were raised in, whatever things that we've learned to believe. That's a whole nother topic.
Exactly.
But this is a good tool to shift maybe some of those things that really don't serve you. When you become aware of thoughts, thought habits, belief systems, things like, well, in our family, we don't do blah, 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 or the Smiths aren't like that. Like the entire world of Smiths aren't like what,
Mm-hmm.
There are these things that we've grabbed onto in our life where it's kind of like they've stuck to us. Right. And I feel like what you're talking about with gratitude and meditation, it can bring awareness to and curiosity about things that maybe we've never really paid attention to. And this season of life, there's a lot of shedding, I feel like, that's natural. And I feel like the gratitude and the meditation are two very, let's say, gentle tools They're not aggressively attacking your belief systems and your this and that and the other, but they will begin to make you aware. Would you agree?
Completely agree. Help you question, does this serve me anymore? Did it ever serve me?
Mm-hmm.
Is it serving me now? And if it's not, is it okay to explore a different way? This time of life is really about reevaluating. And that's exactly what these tools are allowing you to do, is reevaluate, is, again, coming back to the beginning of our conversation. Okay, so the past however many years I've lived, maybe they've not been terrible. They've been pretty good in my case. And can they be better? Can I reevaluate what I've believed, bought into, followed, and choose? You get to choose how you want to think and feel moving forward. I mean, you've always had that choice. However, sometimes now it feels like now is the time when we really become aware of that. We have an opportunity to, again, like get quiet enough to pay attention to it.
Now, Lori, if you had to give people 3 anchor points, if you could only tell them 3 things, what 3 things would you really want them to hear from your heart today?
There's nothing wrong with you. Where you are now, everything you've been through up to this point has served you in some way. This is all good. And whatever you're feeling right now is okay. You are okay. There's nothing wrong with you. Secondly, you're not alone. You're not alone. There are other people going through and feeling the same things you're feeling, and you can reach out to them. You can find, there is community. It may take a little effort to find them. But there are people who think and believe and will support you in this journey. That's why they're listening to your podcast, right? It's why you're on here. You're finding tools and techniques and community and tribe to support you in this journey. And then the third thing is really the importance of breath over anything else, to anchor yourself, to find that peace and calm. The thing about meditation is that it is cumulative. The effort, the what you put into it over time will build. However, even that very first minute that you spend affects you in a positive way. Just it immediately will bring you that peace, calm, anchoring, groundedness that you're looking for.
I love that. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not alone. And don't forget to breathe mindfully, deeply. Right? Allow ourselves 2 minutes of breathing. Like you could do a 1 minute breathing and it'll change your life.
It will. It will. Give yourself grace.
That's the bonus one right there.
Yes.
Definitely give yourself grace. Well, Lori, how can people find you?
My website is zen-rabbit.com. I am on LinkedIn. Spend a lot of time on LinkedIn.
It's Lori, S as in Sam, A-I-T as in Tom, Z, Saitz, right?
Yes.
Well, Lori, it has been such a joy to spend time with you today and to learn from you. And I can see the joy and the passion that you have to help women and probably men as well, but to help people really tap into gratitude and meditation in a very practical, useful way. And there's such a kindness and a grace to the way that you presented it. And I want to thank you so much for showing up in this way on this day for my tribe. It's something that will literally change their life. Thank you so much.
My pleasure to be here, Gina. Thank you so much for inviting me.
My pleasure. Friends, today I've been speaking with Lori Saitz. She's an award-winning writer, speaker, and broadcaster, and the CEO of Zen-Rabbit. If you head over to www.feminineroadmap.com/episode 266, I will have links to Lori there. And while you're there, please feel free to join my email list. I send out periodic encouraging emails. Today is the sign you've been waiting for. If you feel overwhelmed, stressed, unhappy, uncertain, confused about the season of your life, tired, even if you feel positive, energized, and good about things, this is your sign to slow down, to become mindful, to begin a gratitude practice if you don't have one, to begin to tap into your breath if you haven't done that before, to love yourself enough to take 5 minutes a day, to be still, to breathe, to be mindful, and see what comes up for you. Find out what's going on inside your inner workings, in your inner mind. There's beautiful things in there to be unearthed. You just need to take a little bit of time and a little bit of space to let it come up. So friends, find some resources like Headspace or Calm or your favorite music and get a diffuser. Whatever it takes, take the time. It is not a waste of time. It is a way of putting money in the bank of your emotional and mental health that's going to reap humongous dividends. Give it a shot. Thank you so much for being with us today. We thank you for being a part of this community. Reach out, let us know how this conversation has impacted you today. We look forward to talking with you again in the future, my friends. Take care. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.